I want to get to several of the points that Donald Trump said today about you. But first, let's go through the State Department Inspector General's report, which caused a lot of controversy, as you well know, yesterday. You've said that what you did was allowed under the rules, but the report specifically says the State Department did not and would not have approved your exclusive reliance on a personal email account. So here's the question. Did you break the rules?
Well, Wolf, this report makes clear that personal email use was the practice under other secretaries of state, and the rules were not clarified until after I had left. But as I've said many times, it was still a mistake. If I could go back, I'd do it differently. And I understand people have concerns about this, but I hope voters look at the full picture of everything that I've done and the full threat posed by a Donald Trump presidency. And if they do, I have faith in the American people. They'll make the right choice.
The report says, and I'll read a sentence from the report, Madam Secretary, that the Department of State and the Internal Revenue Manual did not and would not approve her exclusive reliance on a personal email account to conduct department business because of the restrictions of the Foreign Affairs Manual and the security risks in doing so. Those are specific words that specifically says you were not authorized to do so. Why didn't you ask for authorization?
Well, I thought it was allowed. I knew past secretaries of state use personal email. Secretary Kerry did for a period of time until the rules were clarified. They were not a model of clarity, and it seems like there's still more work to do on that. So, yes, I believed it was allowed, but that's not the point. I said it was a mistake. And furthermore, Wolf, I have provided the department with all of the work-related emails that I had. I've called for them to be made public, and that's really what is at the core of any kind of effort to make sure that material is collected and maintained, and I have done that.
I want to get to what Donald Trump said about you today, but very quickly, why didn't you cooperate with the Inspector General and agree to an interview with him?
When they reached out to me, I'd already said everything I could on this matter. I'd testified for 11 hours before the Benghazi committee. I had done, as you know, numerous press interviews. I've called on the department to release all of my work-related emails, and I had posted extensive information on my email practices on my campaign's website. So everything that I had to say was out there, and I believe that as I have repeated to you, actually, the report makes clear that personal email use was the practice under other secretaries, and the rules that are being referenced were not clarified until after I had left.
The report does say that the rules were updated it says specifically by Secretary Clinton's tenure, the department's guidance was considerably more detailed and more sophisticated. That's what's in the report. But let me get to what Donald Trump is talking about today. As you know, he clinched the Republican presidential nomination. He says this report was devastating. I want to play a clip of what he specifically said about you.
I sort of like her in the race. I want to run against her. Look, she has bad judgment. This was all bad judgment. Probably illegal. We'll have to find out what the FBI says about it. But certainly it was bad judgment. I just read the report. It's devastating, the report. It's devastating. And there's no reason for it. It's just, skirting on the edge all the time. And you look back at her history, and this is her history. It's a very, very harsh report, done really by Democrats, if you think of it, appointed by Obama and done by Democrats. So it's shocking to see it.
All right, I want to get your reaction, but I also want to note that the president of the United States today is at the G7 summit in Japan. He said the world leaders he's meeting with are rattled by the notion, the possibility that Donald Trump could be the next president of the United States. I want your reaction to all of that.
Well, Wolf, look, I know Donald Trump says outrageous things all the time, but today he officially clinched the Republican nomination, so this is now as real as it gets. And this man, who is an unqualified loose cannon, is within reach of the most important job in the world, so it should concern every American. And President Obama came out of meetings with our closest allies in the world and reported that they are, quote, rattled by the threat Donald Trump represents. Of course they're rattled. He's talking about breaking up our alliances, letting more countries get nuclear weapons, banning all Muslims from coming to America. That is a recipe for fewer friends and more enemies, and it will make us less safe. And look, I know that Trump thinks this is a point of pride, that people, like me or President Obama, raise questions and criticize him, but it's not. This is not a reality show. It's not just politics. It's really serious. The entire world looks to the President of the United States for leadership and stability, and that is the kind of leadership I would provide if elected.
He mocked you today, Donald Trump, saying you can't seal the deal for the Democratic presidential nomination. These latest polls in California have it very, very close between you and Bernie Sanders. What's the problem here?
Well, first of all, there was a poll yesterday that said I was 18 points up and a poll today that said I was 2 points up, which is why I really don't pay a lot of attention to polls, because they are usually and increasingly all over the place. We're going to run hard. We are already insurmountably ahead, not only in the popular vote, leading by 3 million, but also in the pledged delegates. This will be wrapped up on June 7th. I know that the AP called a bunch of people who were uncommitted in the Republican Party, and they said they would now support Trump at the convention. I believe I have the votes already, but we'll go through and fight hard and work to get everybody to turn out in California and New Mexico, New Jersey, all the contests that are upcoming.
I know you got to go. He also once again today accused you of wanting to abolish the Second Amendment to the Constitution, and I'd love to get your response to that.
Well, either he is very badly misinformed or he knows better. That is absolutely ridiculous. I have said repeatedly that I believe there can be common sense gun safety reforms consistent with the Second Amendment. And in fact, what I have outlined, comprehensive background checks, closing the online loophole, the gun show loophole, the so-called Charleston loophole, that is all supported by huge majorities of Americans, including gun owners. So, look, I'm ready for his fantasy campaign and the outrageous things he's going to say. I just really regret that the kinds of things he is saying about letting other countries get nuclear weapons and bringing back torture and, just the outrageous comments are literally being heard around the world. That's not who we are as Americans. That's not the kind of strong, smart, steady leadership that we need and deserve.
I know you got to run. One final question. Trump says he's now ready to debate Bernie Sanders if $10 million can be raised going to charity. And he says women's health charities. That's what he wants. Bernie Sanders says he hopes that debate takes place. Your reaction to that? Would you be open to joining the two of them in that debate?
Oh, well, this doesn't sound like a serious discussion. I'm looking forward to debating Donald Trump in the general election. I really can't wait to get on the stage with him.
And what's your reaction to a possible debate between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump?
I just said I don't think it's serious. I think that, that it's not going to happen.